Nikole Hannah-Jones was recently having some debates on Twitter, and in relation to stuff she had said in an interview about public school and basically who should be making decisions for public schools. And it really makes me wonder, where do they get these people? What do you mean, these people? Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. I want to tell you a quick little story. There was this young boy, black kid, and he was going to public school. Smart kid, very smart. Not only was he smart, he was doing well in school. One of the top students in the class I'm going to talk about, it was an English class, and he was actually one of the top students at the school, one of the highest grade getting school. There's a lot of white kids in school, but he was a black student, but he was doing great. He had a white teacher, a white English teacher, and he would watch the way that the teacher interacted with other students, and he would encourage other students and try to motivate them. And one day that teacher pulls him aside and says, "Hey, I want to ask you a question. What are you thinking about in terms of, when you get older, in terms of career? What are you planning to do with your life?" And this black kid stops and thinks for a second and says, "Actually, I've been thinking about being a lawyer. Like, that's something I think I would want to do." And this public school teacher stops, says, "Ah, a lawyer. You want to be a lawyer? I think you want to be realistic. I mean, listen, you're a great kid. People like you. People really, you get along great with people. But I think you might want to be realistic and not, you don't want to set yourself up for failure. You don't want to think, above reality. So I think you should keep your expectations more in line with what you can actually accomplish. Like I said, you're great with people. You get along. People like you. And you're great with your hands. I've heard about how good you are in carpentry shop. That's something you could actually do. You'd get lots of business." And this black kid stopped and was like, because now he thinks about how he saw this white teacher, this public school teacher, interact with other students, and particularly the white students, and how he would encourage them. If they wanted to do something that was lofty and some high goal, he'd say, "Yes, do it." He'd encourage them. But now, when it came to him, like, no, that's not realistic. Interestingly enough, that young man, his life took a turn that wasn't quite. Hey, at this point, you might say, "Hey, look, the teacher's right? The young man winds up, getting involved in drugs, using drugs, gets involved with some people that are unscrupulous individuals. He's living a life of crime, committing robberies and burglaries. Winds up getting arrested, sentenced to prison. Goes to prison gets a sentence of 10 years. Now, mind you, he was one of his accomplices, a couple of his accomplices were white women, and the sentence he got was, quite frankly, a lot of it had to do with because, the appearance that he was corrupting these white girls. But he goes to prison, and while he's in prison, he actually changes his life around. Now, you may be asking, "Aaron, are you that little boy?" No, I'm not that little boy. That was that little boy. Because if you didn't recognize the story till now, what he does in prison is he turns his life around. He gets involved with the Nation of Islam, kicks drugs. While he's in prison, he's reading the dictionary from front to back. He gets out of prison, and he goes down in history as one of the greatest black leaders to have ever lived. To have ever lived. This is a man that didn't have a degree. This is a man that fell, hit rock bottom. And despite hitting rock bottom, look at what he accomplished. Look at what he was capable of. But then remember what that teacher told him. Remember what that teacher told her. Be realistic. A lawyer. Clearly, Malcolm X could have been way more than just a lawyer. And actually, for the best that he was. But I tell that story for a reason. Because there is no way that you can delude yourself into believing that he was the only black child to have his dreams crushed by this system. By a system owned, operated, ran, created, that was devoted to the destruction and the subjugation of black people. There's no way you can sit there and believe that, oh, but every other black child was encouraged to dream big and shoot for their dreams. When you look at what's happening to black kids coming out of these schools, 13 years in public school, 13 years of public school education, 13 years of public school education, and what are they qualified to do? They're qualified to get minimum wage jobs. 13 years. 13 years of public school education, and they're qualified to work at McDonald's and Dwayne Reed. But you have people like Nikole Hannah-Jones who will sit there and tell us that, number one, the public education system needs more of our tax dollars. She will say not only does it need more of our tax dollars, but we need to step out of the way and let the public education system choose what it will and will not teach our children. This is Nikole Hannah-Jones, the same woman that talked about the difference between being racially black and politically black. This woman is advocating for black children to be placed into the custody and control of this white supremacist system, to be indoctrinated, to be miseducated, and to have their dreams and futures crushed. This is what she's advocating for. But she will tell you that she's politically black. She's politically a hack. Clearly. But that's why I can't take these individuals like her on the left seriously. Because it's easy to point out the Candace Owens and see that she is clearly an enemy of the people and just a mouthpiece, a puppet for anti-black interests. But Nikole Hannah-Jones and her ilk will pretend to be part of the struggle while advocating for policies that do not actually work and cannot possibly work in the benefit of black people. Like after seeing what the public education system has done to black children, after seeing what the government has done to black people, why on earth would we trust this system, this government, to have custody and control of our children for 13 years? And not only are they just crushing their dreams, they're saying, oh yeah, well, we need to teach them to read, to write, you know? And now if we take a look at what they're not teaching our kids, how to run businesses, finances, economics, business management, they're not teaching them to be captains of industry, just the low paid workers of industry. But besides that, are they even teaching them the basics, the things that they claim to be teaching them, the reading, the writing, arithmetic? Right now, across the US, they're trying to do away with testing, because they're like, oh, well, black kids aren't, black kids aren't getting math, math is racist. Now, they're not saying that because they believe math is racist. They're saying that because they suck at their fucking jobs. They suck at their fucking jobs, and they're trying to obscure the fact that they're not even doing the things that they claim to be doing. They're not even teaching them the filler, the time, the waste of time that they claim to be teaching our kids. They're not even doing that. But people like Nikole Hannah-Jones are saying, oh no, parents shouldn't be in charge of the system. Parents shouldn't be deciding what their kids are taught. Politically black? I listen to nonsense like that, and I realize that we cannot possibly continue to allow this to keep happening. when these schools are failing black kids all across the country, and their solution is, oh yeah, these schools are segregated. Wait, how does that improve the life of my child? You're saying that the problems of the school system, that my child's life will be made better if they get to learn next to a white kid? Like, who gives a what? That has nothing to do with anything. Like, the stuff you claim is important, but really isn't, you're not even teaching. So now you want to get rid of testing, not because black kids can't learn math, not because black kids can't learn reading, but because y'all suck at teaching. That's why. These testing scores aren't reflective upon the kids. They're reflective upon the system whose job it is to educate them. Actually, whose claims to be doing the job of educating them. Whose actual job it is ours. And we need to stop allowing the enemy to miseducate, undereducate, and indoctrinate our children if we want any hope for their futures. As always, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you disagree and you think, no, we're not professionals, let the professionals do their job. Go ahead and give me a thumbs down and tell me who sent you. I'll see you next time.